Yes, I want to speak about the insurance thing. Now, when my son fell into that coma on Christmas of 2003, he was a college student, and I had Nassau County benefits. I was a 911 operator for a long time, as long as he was in school, and it fell during winter break. I had to fight like hell to get him his insurance back then. Thank God that whatever legislation passed, that, you know, our sons and daughters are able to get insurance. What is it, to 29? I think it is. But back 26. But back then it was 18 unless you were a full-time college student. So now here, my son gets out of his hospital bed. He's like 40 pounds lighter, and he was a thin, short boy to begin with a long beard and hair. I mean, he looked like Jesus Christ running up to the registrar office to register. I had to borrow money from my brother in order to sign him up for a full-time school so they would cover the $100 and something thousand worth of medical bills that came to me. Because, you know, I got that bill and I was like, oh, well, guess what? I don't have $99,000 to pay you people. So that, in a big sense, is, thank God, at least our kids in their 20s can still get benefits underneath their parents that have benefits, because that wasn't an option with me back then. Oh my God. And the anxiety, I mean, just, you know, your son is saved, but he's still not right. And to think that I'm gonna have to, well, not me, because, you know, technically he was an adult and he should have insurance, but it was winter break. I mean, it was just chaos. I mean, life was chaos since that day, but, you know, that's all I'm saying.
Okay, can I actually say something?
Sure, go ahead.
Another thing, I know some of these insurance companies, they will look at what drugs you do and prioritize in a certain way. So when you're talking about alcohol, when you're talking about benzodiazepines, you know, anxiety medication, those withdrawals you can die from.
Yes.
The withdrawals alone. You can have seizures and die.
Yes.
With opiates and heroin and everything else, you can't die from the withdrawal symptoms.
Alcohol you can die from.
Yes.
You can't die from the withdrawal symptoms, but you can die from the heroin use itself. So, you know, you have these people at a desperate point in their life, and just because they don't do Xanax, the insurance will look at them and prioritize them or make them a lesser priority than somebody who does. And you know, I hope that's something that can change. It doesn't make sense. You know, there's a huge heroin problem. Everyone knows that. Why are these people getting put at the bottom of the list over somebody who does Xanax? I even heard of people who don't do Xanax saying they do Xanax so the insurance can cover it, or any other benzo. And the whole, I'm glad they stopped the whole you have to fail outpatient first, because that didn't make sense either. But of course, any legislation is going to take time. Government it takes time to do things in government, to say the least. So I am hopeful for the future. I absolutely am hopeful for the future, and I do think things are going to get better. But we got some work to do as a community. So.
And just to add to what you said, part of it is the lethality when you're being admitted to detox, and that's what the insurance companies hooked it on. You can die of an alcohol withdrawal, you can die of a benzo withdrawal, you probably won't die of a heroin withdrawal. You might wish you were dead, but you probably will not die. And that's really what the criteria used to be. Some of the new legislation does address that if the treatment professional deems it necessary. Plus they give emergency departments now 72 hours to observe somebody and decide whether they need more inpatient. Is it perfect? Not at all, but it's a lot better than it ever was.
Yes.
Because what used to happen until, what was it, May, I think, when he signed the legislation, or June, you could be turned away from an ER if you did not, if you were in withdrawal from something other than a life-threatening drug withdrawal. So all of this needs to be addressed, but you're right, we need to address it together as a community where nothing changes.
Right.
Because while you do something on one end, it kind of impacts the other end in a different way.
Right.
I stopped doctor shopping, but it did not address doctors overprescribing. So part of the new legislation does mandate a certain number of hours of education on addiction for prescribers of pain medication. So that's one of the key issues, because we've looked at everything else, but that's one of the, you know, here you go, Judy Vining, you're nice and you probably don't want to pay 2 co-pays. So, you know what, you just had a wisdom tooth pulled. Maybe you need 6 pills, but I'm going to give you 30 just in case. So, you know, and that's the way doctors think. It's not deliberate to get me addicted, but guess what? If I take those 30 pills, the nature of that drug, I will become addicted. It has nothing to do with what I want. Okay.
All right, we're going to take a break.